Stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Miller. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy. I want to talk to you about extremism, about how governments and the power elite are using this bogeyman phrase to manipulate the body politic of the current generation and ones beyond. And we're going to start out with a story from February the 8th, 2017 from RT, with the headline, Government Hires Advertising Giant to Lead Fight Against Rise of Far Right in Britain. Now, before you reach for your controls to turn this podcast off because it's about something in the UK, think about this. Bad political ideas from the power brokers have a tendency to spread like a cancer. If things like what this story describes are going on in the UK, you can expect them to be going on here in the United States of America very soon. To the story. Lies spread by the far right will be challenged in an online campaign by Theresa May's government as part of a £60 million battle against extremism, it's been revealed. The Home Office campaign, run by advertising giant Saatchi, will attempt to tackle, quote, racist myths, end quote, perpetuated online by the far right and address threats of extreme right-wing narratives, end quote. Sidebar, Islam is not a race. To continue, the growing threat to Britain from Europe's fast-growing far-right movement is also being monitored by a secretive section of Whitehall, the Times reports. An insider is quoted as saying, the government would challenge, quote, people who read far-right U.S. news outlet Breitbart and stuff like that. The conspiratorial media. If you have issues, it's not other communities who may be the cause of your issues. End quote. The Home Office is expected to challenge far-right-wing perspectives through social media. Saatchi won a contract last year to produce up to 10 campaigns annually to undermine extremism. So let me just interpret that, folks. What this means is that if you're a resident of the United Kingdom and you happen to be concerned with the rise of rape jihad and violence perpetrated by Muslims against non-Muslims in your own nation, and you want to speak out about it online, you're going to find yourself opposed by slick advertising campaigns. They're going to say that the problem is not Islam, but you. If you're worried about your son or daughter being assaulted, that's your problem. Those are your issues. That's not the reality of life, and the government of the United Kingdom is going to spend big bucks to make sure that your opinion and your sharing of real events in your community will be drowned in a sea of very professionally produced propaganda. If the government of the UK is successful, the public mind will not view Islam as the root cause of Islamic-produced violence and terror in the United Kingdom. They'll blame it on the quote-unquote far right. And the quote-unquote far right will basically be anyone who questions the tremendous influx of legal and illegal Islamic individuals into the United Kingdom and the UK government's current policy of ignoring violent acts from the Muslim community while highlighting as quote-unquote racist real concerns of ordinary people worried for their families' safety and for that of their fellow citizens of the United Kingdom. Well, listening to this, you might say, well, so what? Governments have been using advertising agencies for years to put out their public service announcements and things. How's that going to affect anyone? Well, in the UK, guys, and possibly very soon here in the United States of America, there's more. This comes from a story published Thursday, January the 5th, 2017, by Rebecca Paring of the Daily Express in the UK. The headline here, Schoolboy put on anti-terror scheme for saying Muslims shouldn't be allowed to wear burqa. The non-Islamic schoolboy was dragged in order to spend time with an imam and visit a mosque after he made comments in school about Muslims, quote, trying to take over the country, end quote, according to local reports. Channel is part of the Counter-Terror Prevent Scheme, which aims to curb recruitment by Islamic terrorists and is used in the most serious cases of radicalization, targeting, quote, individuals at risk of being drawn into violent extremism. Sidebar. So you see what they're doing here, people. They're taking an organization which was meant to curb extremism from Muslims and applying it to a non-Muslim with the excuse that his words make him an extremist. To continue. The organization said the 14-year-old was signed up to volunteer with a, quote, multi-faith project, end quote. Sidebar, I think we can all guess which faith is going to be most of the multi. To continue. After he was, quote, vocal in his views around what Muslim people should or shouldn't be allowed to wear, end quote. Sidebar. Not many programs calling Muslims extremists who harass non-Muslim women in modern Western dress. To continue. Detective Superintendent Nick Adams, Northeast Regional Coordinator for Prevent, said the child had illustrated a, quote, genuine vulnerability, end quote. Sidebar. Detective Adams obviously hasn't been in very many Muslim homes that are raising young children. To continue. He told the Yorkshire Post, quote, he was saying that Muslim women shouldn't be allowed to wear the niqab, and he had his head filled with nonsense that Muslims are trying to take over the country, end quote. Oh, and as a sidebar, people, the most popular new name for infants in the United Kingdom is Mohammed. So there's that nonsense for you. To get back to the story. The paper says the child lived in a predominantly non-Muslim area, and he was strongly influenced by the, quote, right-wing views of his father, end quote, who is separated from his mother. Now here, guys, we see the state trying to take over as parent of the child, something which is happening in public schools here in the United States of America, just not this blatantly. The government obviously disagrees with the views of this young man's father, so they're going to step in and be the father themselves. Back to the story. As part of the program, the boy was introduced to a non-Muslim male officer of a similar age to his father to build a relationship before he was handed over to a younger Muslim officer. Sidebar. How creepy is that? Back to the story. Detective Adams added, quote, it has had a fantastic impact on him in terms of his school reports, how he has settled. We are not getting any more of those anti-Muslim comments. He is getting on better with teachers, end quote. Sidebar. Of course he is, now that he's been thoroughly cowed and brainwashed. People, I bring all this to your attention because here in the United States of America, the fake stream media and their friends in Hollywood and the rest of the entertainment industry are working very hard to influence your opinion on such subjects as immigration and Islam. And don't think your kids and grandkids are immune. The progressive left are very cooperative with organizations like CARE and the Muslim Students Association about these things because they know that it's going to get the rulers of the progressive left votes. Those of you Americans who are concerned with the influx of Muslims into the United States of America are going to have to develop a kind of armor. We've already seen it. Anyone and everyone, right of center, being called racists, thisists, thatists, thisophobes and thatophobes, and it's going to get worse. As I've illustrated here, the elites who want to hold on to power at any cost, including the safety of the American people, are going to use every tool at their disposal to bend our minds and those of our children and grandchildren to their will. But if we armor ourselves with the facts that, for instance, Islam is not a race, and that it is not racist or thisophobic or thatophobic to be concerned about a large influx of people with an ideology that says it's okay to rape, steal, and otherwise do harm to people just because they're not Islamic, we will be protected. Words, even from the slickest advertising agencies, can only harm us if we allow them to penetrate into our way of thinking. If we hold on to the truths that we know about ourselves, that the United States of America, as laid down by the founders, has at its core the nexus of the most perfect civilization that humankind has been able to devise so far, we can not only protect ourselves from the mind masters of the left, but our children and grandchildren too. And that's it for this time. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye. The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2017. Anno Domini.